Hi, I'm Brett, and welcome to Random Book Talk. I'm thrilled to have in the studio today Rick Stein, cookbook extraordinaire, TV presenter, restaurateur in Australia and in England. He is here to promote his latest book, Rick Stein's India, in pursuit of the perfect curry. Rick, hi, how are you?
Hi, Brett.
Now, your latest cookbook is absolutely stunning. I was cooking from it over the weekend, cooking Rocky's chicken korma, and it was divine.
Rocky. He's a good friend now, I must say, Rocky.
Yeah?
Really got on well with him.
Yeah, and you share a little bit about his wife, Rika, and their very long marriage.
Well, yes, well, I said to Rika, how long have you and Rocky been married? And she said, 50, maybe 100 years, don't know really. And I was sort of thinking, that is a sign of a good marriage.
Yeah. I mean,
because they were bickering, but you could tell they got on perfectly well.
Really, yeah. I mean, the story behind that recipe and many others in the book that really takes you into India. You were there for, I believe, several months.
Yes. I mean, I must confess, I came home in between the trips, but it was 3 months in total.
Yeah.
Fabulous place, not without blemishes, I have to say.
Yeah. Having been there myself, I can relate a little bit to it. So the title suggests you on an odyssey to find the perfect curry. I guess it begs the question, did you find it?
Well, yes, I did. I mean, the reason that I think a cookbook, really for me at the moment, I'm writing books like the previous book was about Spain. It's like a journey of discovery. So basically I thought, well, the best way of indicating that I'm on a journey like that is to say in search for the perfect curry. But yes, I did find the perfect curry for me, which was a Madras fish curry on the coast of Coromandel. Uh-huh. And the reason it was my perfect curry was just because the setting. It was on a beach with a lot of those lovely Indian fishing boats, sort of wooden boats, and cows going by, and girls from Kashmiri selling little glass bead necklaces, a beautiful white snapper, cooked really simply with tomato, lots of chili, mustard seeds, and tamarind. My perfect curry.
Wow, sounds amazing. Is it in the book?
Yes.
Oh, great. I cooked the chicken korma, which was from the Merg section of the book.
Yeah.
So can you explain a little bit how the book is structured? Because there is a seafood fish section called machi.
Yes. Well, we got all the sort of local names.
Yeah.
Well, I thought of making it regional, but in fact, I mean, there's the difference between foods in the regions is not as pronounced as you might think. It's very pronounced between northern India and southern India. But really, the cooking of somewhere like Tamil Nadu and Kerala is similar, as is somewhere like Rajasthan and Punjab. Yes, there are differences, but I thought much better to split it into sort of types of food. One of the early Indian readers has praised me for the fact that the first big chapter, apart from the street food, which opens the book, is vegetarian food, because 40% of Indians are vegetarian. I mean, that's millions and millions of people.
Wow.
So that is a really important section. What I like about the way the page designer, Alex has done it, is that each chapter heading has got this beautiful wash of colour. And so that and it's quite daring, because the fish section is blue, of course. The meat section is blood red.
Yeah.
And you think, that might be a bit off-putting, but it works.
Yeah. I mean, it really is a beautiful looking book.
Yeah.
The colours are so saturated, and the food photography is stunning.
I love that. I mean, for most of my books, I've used the same British photographer, James Murphy. But this time I've used a Japanese stylist, and her interpretation of Indian food is slightly different from mine. So the recipes, she's cooked from the recipes, but the way she makes the food look is different. It looks sort of more rugged. And I just, every time I look at it, I think, is that the same recipe? Of course it is.
Yeah.
And I was in the studio when they were cooking everything and tasted everything.
Right.
But it just looks different. And I think it looks it blends in, the food photography blends in with the location photography very well indeed.
Yeah, no, it really is. It's stunning. In cooking some of the dishes from the book, I mean, one of the things that struck me, reminded me of India, was just how aromatic Indian food is. It's all those spices. And, there are a few different techniques you need to use to cook some of the dishes. For somebody starting out, is there a dish in the book or a tip that you could impart to get people started?
Well, I mean, a very simple recipe, and it does sort of almost encapsulate most of the sort of curry principles. It's in the book. It's called My Breakfast Bhaji, and basically it's just a vegetable curry.
I was intrigued to read too that where we put a lot of lamb in our curries, that the Indians prefer to use goat.
Yes.
And think that the lamb is far too fatty.
They do. I mean, in fact, I don't think we ever had a true lamb curry. It was always goat,
Right.
which they refer to as mutton.
Yes.
And when you think, well, that's very confusing, one Indian fixer, these are the people that look after you when you're filming, said, it's not your language, it's our language, English.
Yeah.
That's what they're referring to.
Yeah.
And if they want to call goat meat mutton, they blinking well can.
Yeah, fair enough too. Thank you very much, Rick. I've got a few questions to finish off with, just to sort of ask you. Firstly, what is your favourite food? If you're able to, I know your first love is seafood.
Yeah.
It may well be seafood, but
Well, I'm afraid to say it still is. I mean, I think it is favourite because it's so difficult to get it right. And I think most people in certainly in the West, or certainly in Britain that I know, and in Australia and New Zealand that I know well, they will say, I love seafood. A small minority do love seafood. The rest would rather have something else.
Yeah.
Particularly fish. They like prawns, they like lobster, they like crab, scallops, fine. But when it comes to fish and chips, yes.
But that's about it.
That's about it. You think, oh, it's a bit bland.
Yeah.
So to me, the real challenge is to make what a lot of people would sooner not eat, make them suddenly say, this is delicious.
Yeah.
And I think the triumph is all the better for the fact that you've got a point to prove endlessly.
Sure. So then, counter to that, then, what's the food that you least like?
I'm a bit sort of easy, really. I don't really dislike anything. Do you know one thing I really do not like? And my wife Sarah finds it extraordinary. I don't like Rocky Road.
Right, okay.
I don't like the combination of chocolate and marshmallow. And I don't really like chocolate with sort of acidic fruit like sort of orange or raspberry or strawberry.
Cherry.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Cherry.
Okay.
But apart from that, I'm easy. I mean, I suppose in the India book, doing the sweet section was a challenge because a lot of the sweets in India are far too sweet. So I've only got like 6 in there, but there's 6 really good ones, and I think they're very representative of the sort of sweet dishes you get in India. And it's funny because I've said in the book that you say to people, what do you think of Indian sweets? And of course, everybody has been to an Indian restaurant and had something far too sweet. So, oh, no. But when we were travelling through India and staying in hotels with a sort of sweet section in the buffet, the crew were always going to the sweet section for second helpings.
Really?
Yeah.
So they creep up on you.
Yeah, they do.
So taking a slight tangent then off of food, what is your favourite sound?
Favourite sound? It's just got to be the surf, because I'm lucky enough in Cornwall to be able to hear the surf, the sea, and certainly in my restaurant in Mollymook.
Yeah.
I've got a house in Mollymook just up the road from the restaurant, Bannisters, and waking up in the morning and hearing the surf, fabulous.
Yeah, you're very lucky. So what is your least favourite sound?
I think it's youths on scooters on very noisy motorbikes, particularly in Italy, where they're going down narrow streets and it reverberates, and you're in a house somewhere and you just think, shut up.
So if you had the opportunity to have pursued a different profession than the one that you do, I mean, you do many things already, what would you have liked to have done?
I would have liked to have done journalism, but not. I mean, I ran a university paper at Oxford when I was there. I didn't really like that side of journalism, like news reporting, because basically you have to fabricate things to a certain extent. You have to tell a story.
Yeah.
You may be aware of a totally counter argument, but in order to get your story across, you have to sort of fabricate the truth to a certain extent. I understand that, but I would have loved to do something like food journalism because, but I was sort of looking for a career in the early 70s, and jobs like that were hardly existed because since the early 70s, the whole sort of lifestyle side of newspapers and magazines has exploded.
Yes.
I certainly could have got a job like that now, but I like writing, so that's what I would have done.
Uh-huh. And what profession would you least like to have done in your life? If there's something that you would definitely wanted to have avoided?
Well, I think probably something like sort of financial, like accountancy, banking. I just cannot get it. You know, I mean, I can, because I had to, in the early days of running the restaurant, I had to make it pay.
Sure.
But I just don't get figures, really. I suppose it's just having a sort of brain that's more creative. And I know accountants would say, no, accountancy is creative. You know, you got it all wrong. But I would have probably, not wanted to do that. Yeah.
Well, I think I and thousands of people around the world are pleased that you have applied yourself to cooking and food, and we're all very lucky for it. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Brett. Really enjoyed it, I must say.
Thank you. Now, if you'd like to learn more about Rick Stein's latest book, India, head to our website where you will discover some fantastic recipes and also learn about Rick's other books. Rick's Spain, Coast to Coast. There's a multitude of fantastic recipes for you to discover. And while you're there, why not sign up to our e-newsletter where you can learn about more great books coming in the next few months. One being the autobiography of Rick Stein, out in October of this year, Under the Mackerel Sky. So thanks again, and I'll see you next time.